It is the longest-running teen television drama in North America, and our next guest has been there since the start. Oh my gosh. Look at this flashback for me. The Degrassi franchise has 38 years of history under its belt. Stohn started out as a lawyer with the show. He is the executive producer, and his new book is a must-read for any fan. It's called, well, I'm going to need an audio cue to go with this one. Take a listen.
Every day, I know I can make it through. If I hold out, if I do, I know I can make it through.
We all know that song. Whatever It Takes is the title of the book. Stohn is here to share a few stories this morning. Good to have you with us this morning.
It's good to be here. And that version of the theme song was from 17 years ago. That was
17 years ago?
Yes, in 2001, that was the version.
Because there's been different iterations of this
song.
Well,
every year we tweak it and update it.
But we think about to the original. You co-wrote that.
That's right.
You co-wrote that song, a song that is heard all over the world in so many countries. And it is the title of your book. Why make that the title of your book?
Well, there was a natural tie-in with the theme song. But we think of Degrassi as being a almost 40-year anti-bullying message. You know, there's been 525 episodes, and we've covered so many topics, but a lot of the themes are about self-empowerment. You are not alone. You know, you are empowered to make choices, but every choice has a consequence. And the theme song, Whatever It Takes, I Know I Can Make It Through, is part of that. So an appropriate title, I think.
And appropriate when you talk about the theme that's sort of woven through the chapters and years of Degrassi being an anti-bullying message, something that is mirrored in your own life when you write about that in the book in sort of your younger years, reflected, you know, in the scripts of Degrassi. Talk a little bit about that connection with your life and the scripts.
Well, I was bullied as a child. And, you know, it's amazing how many people were bullied. Were you bullied as a child?
I was, yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that until now.
Well, exactly. And those are the stories, and that's the conversation, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So many people have been bullied. And then people grow up, you react to it. Some people grow over it and use that as a building block, but other people are damaged for a long while. And then you grow up, and you've got all these bullying things that are happening now, and they come out in terms of sexual harassment. This is what we're seeing in the Me Too movement now. You know, possibly even going so far in some cases as, you know, school shootings. And in the book, I talk about the Time Stand Still episode.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that because there was obviously a lot of prep that went into that episode. And for those that are unfamiliar, that episode in particular, one of the big stars that you would know, Drake, as we know his name now, that is the episode in which he gets shot in a school shooting. So talk about the prep that went into that episode.
Well, absolutely. And of course, I call him Aubrey. We all still call him Aubrey. Drake is his middle name. By the way, he was as charismatic back then as he is now. He's a born entertainer. But he was not the shooter. He was an innocent bystander. But in order to do the story of a school shooting, we realized, you know, we're just storytellers. We don't know about the psychology. We don't want to inadvertently do something that either triggers copycat or misportrays a situation, and we certainly didn't want to be sensational. So we flew in Barbara Coloroso. Now, she lived in Littleton, Colorado, the site of those horrible shootings back then, and wrote the book, The Bully, the Bullied, and the Bystander. And we flew her up and had seminars with her as to what that whole dynamic is about. And the scripts really radically changed as a result of her input into the dynamic.
It is fascinating, the process that you have used throughout the years with Degrassi and the cast. And one of the things that stands out for me is the fact that, you know, typically actors get scripts ahead of time before that table read. But you don't operate that way. The actors get to the table read, and then they're handed their scripts, and then they do the table read. Why that?
Well, it's sort of like an exam. The scripts are face down in front of them. And that gives us an opportunity to basically have a focus group in real time because they turn it over, read their part of the script as it comes up. And sometimes they stumble over words, sometimes they don't understand, but afterwards we have a conversation about the script, and it changes the script, you know, when we get their comments. I will say that at one point we realized that it took us a while to realize that they were reading the back page because it was flipped over, and they would see who was going out on the freeze frame because that would be
That's a good
the star
indicator.
of the show.
Oh, right.
That's right. So the writers played a trick on them one time and had everybody dying in a bus crash on the back page. And we looked around.
The look on their faces.
The look on their face. Now we use thicker paper.
So that was probably the easier solution.
That's right.
You know, we had a mini reunion of Degrassi Junior High. Some of the actors came on our show last year, which was so fun for me, by the way, because this is a show that I grew up on as well. I think we've got some pictures from that time. And it felt like family to me, sitting with them, and also just the dynamic between them. They hadn't seen each other in a long time. There's the picture there. It feels like a family. You've created that environment.
Well, when you work with people for that long, like Stefan, who's part of there, he started off, he actually auditioned originally for the role of Joey Jeremiah.
Really?
And he didn't get the part. Obviously, Pat did. But Kit and Linda at the time said, no, but there's a vulnerability there. There's something we like about him. So they created the character. Actually, they gave him a choice. Was it going to be Snake or Slim?
Oh, nice.
And he was the one who chose
Snake.
Yeah.
And now it just fits so well.
But now he's Principal Simpson.
Right.
So he's an actor. He wrote a lot of the webisodes that we did. He's one of our absolutely best directors. In fact, one of the best directors in the country, and he helps produce the show. So we've worked with him for almost 35 years.
Well, it is such a pleasure to have you here and to chat with you. And by the way, this is just a portion of the book. There is so much more to your story that you detail in those pages. It's a great read. Thanks so much, Stephen, for being here.
Thank you.
We're going to be right back. Stay with us.